Have you ever caught yourself just going through the motions, maybe in a relationship where, the spark's gone and it's just a habit,
Mm.
or even just feeling like you're living a life that maybe looks fine but doesn't quite feel like you didn't fully choose?
Oh, absolutely. That sense of being carried along instead of actively driving.
Mm-hmm.
It happens so easily, doesn't it? We just kind of fall into these patterns.
Yeah, we do. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into the silence between a soul's journey from dissonance to harmony, 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡𝗞𝗔.
Right.
It's a new album with some really interesting related material too, all from TATANKA. Just dropped, actually, May 17th, 2025.
So it's really fresh. We're getting into these ideas right as they're out there.
Exactly. And our goal today for you listening is really to unpack the big ideas here. It seems like this whole project is exploring, well, personal growth, right?
Yeah.
But also the pain of things left unsaid.
The unspoken truths.
Yeah, and the courage it takes to actually change things. And maybe most importantly, how powerful it is to feel truly heard. We'll look at lyrics, and there's this fascinating story about a musician, 𝗧𝗕𝗓.
𝗧𝗕𝗓, right.
Yeah.
Sounds like it weaves together a lot of different threads of the human experience.
It really does. And musically, it's quite a journey, too. You get ambient soul, some acoustic jazz,
Oh, interesting mix.
lo-fi neo-soul, even some, cinematic fusion stuff.
Huh. So a really diverse sound. I wonder how those styles play into the themes.
It's ambitious. And it's long, over 2 hours, 12 tracks. It feels like they want you to really sink into it, you know?
Definitely suggests an immersive experience, not just a casual listen.
Right. Okay, so let's dive in. Where does this journey seem to begin? What's the starting point?
Well, it looks like the album kicks off by looking at that danger zone we just talked about, mistaking what's familiar for what's actually fulfilling. How easy it is to confuse comfort with real happiness.
Totally. The material introduces this character, a man, who seems to have kind of slipped into that trap. Thinking routine equals love. That being certain means you're strong, and maybe the toughest one thinking silence in the relationship means everything's peaceful.
It's such a common thing, isn't it? We want stability, equilibrium. But sometimes that just leads to this, I don't know, emotional standstill, where just because there's no big fight, you think there's connection.
Is it maybe fear? Fear of being vulnerable, maybe. Or just wanting things predictable.
Could be both.
Yeah.
And the song Before the Leaving seems to capture that feeling really well. You hear lines like, coffee's cold, your side untouched.
Oof. Yeah, straight away you feel that distance, even in the same room.
Exactly. And then routine plays like broken tape, just perfectly nails that feeling of being stuck in a loop.
It does. But the line that really hit me was the realization, this isn't love, it's just not leaving you.
Wow. Yeah, that's blunt and so powerful. It speaks to that inertia,
Yeah.
Sticking with what's known, even if the heart's gone out of it, makes you wonder what really holds people together sometimes. Is it love or just not having a reason to leave yet?
Right. And this feeling being stuck even when life looks okay from the outside, that comes up again in Buried Alive in a Life I Made.
Ah,
The lyric goes, each comfort that I've carefully laid just leaves me colder than before, and I can't take it anymore. That really gets at building something meticulously, but it ending up feeling empty, cold.
And notice that the I made part. It wasn't forced on him. He built this life, which adds another layer, doesn't it? That sense of, how did I end up here? I chose this, didn't I?
Yeah.
Why do we do that sometimes? Build these comfortable cages.
It's a really good question. Makes you think, doesn't it, for anyone listening? Have you ever felt that? Built something that looked good, maybe even impressive, but inside it just felt hollow, lacking warmth? So, okay, the album sets the scene, but it doesn't just stay there, right? It seems to move into exploring the weight of all the things not being said.
Which makes sense. Once you realize something's wrong,
Yeah.
you often start to see the communication breakdowns, the feelings pushed down.
Totally. And The House Without Sound seems to tackle that head on, that line. We built a silence and called it home, filled these walls with what we didn't say.
Wow. It's incredibly visual, isn't it? How silence itself can become this structure holding all the unexpressed stuff, like emotional wall.
Yeah, and those unspoken words, they become heavy, right? They create this suffocating feeling, maybe not just in the relationship, but inside yourself too, like carrying this secret weight. What does that do to you long term, living in that kind of house?
It's a heavy thought. And then the album seems to look at trying to let that go. There's a song, Letters I Never Sent, using this metaphor of burning letters. And the lyrics ask, does it hurt less when it burns? Watch the paper turn to ash. All these words I couldn't say. Finally break free at last. It suggests this act is painful, maybe, but also cathartic, a way to finally release those truths.
Does it hurt less when it burns?
That's a powerful question. Is there some kind of cleansing in that? Just acknowledging those feelings, even just to yourself.
Yeah.
Does that take away their power? Makes you think about how we all try to deal with that emotional baggage.
It really does. Have you ever had that feeling, words you just needed to get out, maybe to someone else, maybe just for yourself, but saying them or even writing them felt huge, painful even?
Definitely. So after facing that weight, the album seems to shift again, moving towards, well, transformation, real change.
Which is the crucial next step, isn't it? Seeing the problem, seeing the barriers, that's one thing. But actually doing something about it, that's the journey.
Exactly. And this is where The One I Buried So I Could Rise comes in. Such a title.
Yeah. And the idea isn't about forgetting the past or pretending it didn't happen. It's, as the lyrics say, to remember differently.
Ooh, I like that. Remember differently. It suggests you don't erase your history, but you can change your relationship to it, find new meaning maybe. It gives you agency over your own past.
Totally. And the song describes this buried self vividly, calls him the man who thought certainty meant strength. Someone too proud to bend, too afraid to break, who wore armor made of silence. These are such strong images of being trapped by your own defenses.
And it's clever because things like certainty or pride can seem good, right?
Yeah.
But here, they're limitations.
Yeah.
And that armor made of silence ties right back to the unspoken words we were just talking about. Our defenses become our prisons.
Exactly. And the point of this burial isn't denial. It's not to forget, but to remember differently. And then it says, and in that silence, a melody rose, sweet and low, calling me home. It's like letting go of the old rigid self allows your true self, that inner melody, to finally come through.
So the silence shifts again. First it was a barrier, now it's fertile ground. A space where something authentic can grow. Yep. That's a really interesting arc for the idea of silence.
It is. And then the lyrics get really active. So I stepped into the mirror I feared, laid down my pride, my anger, my years. It's like a conscious choice.
Right, facing it.
And I said, if I want love, I can't stay the same. So I broke the cage I built for my name, and I became the kind of man who could love her. It's not just thinking about changing, it's doing it. Breaking down the old self to become someone capable of real connection.
Breaking the cage I built for my name.
Yeah.
That's resonant too. How even our identity, how we define ourselves, can box us in. It takes real courage to shed those old labels.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? What parts of your past self, your old ways of being, might need to be, well, maybe not buried, but acknowledged and transformed to step into who you want to be now. But okay, the album isn't only about this internal struggle. It shifts focus, right?
Yeah.
It brings in this other story that shows the power of being truly heard by others. The story of 𝗧𝗧𝗧.
Ah, yes, 𝗧𗧃. This seems like where the perspective widens, connecting the inner journey to our interactions with the world and how others see us or hear us.
Exactly. The track, when 𝗧𝗧𝗧 played the silence, tells her story with TATANKA's Orchestra Americana. And it's, well, it's tough. 𝗧𝗧𝗧 faced so much rejection. Choirs didn't want her voice. Doctors didn't welcome her body. Even churches made her feel unwelcome. It's like the world kept telling her to be quiet.
It's a really stark picture of how society can marginalize people. Silent voices that don't fit the mold. Sadly, it's not an unfamiliar story for many.
No, it isn't. But what TATANKA did was different. Their whole approach was, they listened first, then we play.
That's key.
They didn't try to change her or fix her or just use her as some kind of diversity token. They actually truly heard her.
And that flicks the usual script, doesn't it? Usually the artist tries to fit in. Here, the collective, the orchestra, centered her unique voice, her experience, before making music. That's a profound shift.
It is. And interestingly, it was an accidental viral live stream, just her, raw, unpolished, between rehearsals that suddenly connected with tons of people.
Which says so much, right? People crave authenticity. That real, unfiltered expression often hits harder than something perfectly produced.
Totally. And the big takeaway from her story, the material emphasizes, is this. Inclusion doesn't begin with diversity statistics. It begins with listening. It's not about checking boxes. It's about the real human act of hearing and valuing someone's unique perspective.
That's such an important distinction. Performative action versus genuine inclusion. True inclusion means creating spaces where people feel safe enough to be heard without judgment. It requires that active listening first.
And you see the parallel, don't you? The main character had to confront his inner silence. Virali needed the outer world to stop silencing her and actually listen.
Yes, the internal and external journeys mirror each other.
And her story becomes this really powerful message for anyone who's felt unheard. For every soul who has been misnamed, misgendered, misunderstood, or muted, there is a place, a note, a rhythm waiting for you.
That's beautiful. It's a message of hope, saying your true expression, your true self, has value and deserves a space.
Exactly. She didn't need fixing, she needed hearing. And being heard allowed her to rise. So after all this, the journey seems to reach kind of culmination in the track, and then he appeared.
Okay, suggesting a connection maybe, where the inner work meets the outer world.
Precisely. And there's a twist in the related material. The journey we followed, the man's story, it was also her story. The yearning, the silence, the need for change, she felt it too. This track is about them finally meeting, two people who've done the work.
So it's about two people finding each other after breaking down their own walls, allowing that genuine connection.
Yes. And music is right at the heart of it. The lyrics say, "The music found us first. Before our eyes could meet, it wrote our story in the stars, made two rhythms sync and beat." Their coming together wasn't rushed or forced. It was unhurried, unforced, the real beginning of their actual lives.
That really emphasizes the authenticity theme again, doesn't it? The connection arises naturally, from a place of shared resonance found through the music, rather than through expectation or trying too hard. It suggests that when you become truly yourself, you attract the right connections.
And it loops back so perfectly to that Tom Waits quote mentioned early on. No matter how long it takes, true love is always worth the wait.
Right. Implying that doing the hard work, the self-discovery, facing the silence, it prepares you for that deeper, more authentic relationship when the time is right.
Absolutely. Which brings us back to silence itself, doesn't it? We started with silence as this negative thing, a barrier full of unspoken stuff, distance.
Yeah, a space for dissonance, for friction.
But then through the whole journey, especially with Virali and that listen first philosophy, silence changes. It becomes something else entirely.
It transforms, yes. From being an absence or a wall, it becomes this space of potential for listening, for reflection, for transformation, like the silence between notes in music, or the quiet needed for understanding. It becomes where harmony can actually start.
So wrapping this all up, the silence between really takes you on this journey, doesn't it? From feeling stuck and inauthentic to finding self-awareness, dealing with those unspoken truths, letting go of old selves, and then understanding just how powerful it is to be truly heard and to connect authentically.
It sounds like a really rich exploration of what it takes to break free from those inner limits, and how listening both inwardly and outwardly is key to finding a more harmonious way of being.
It really does. So maybe as you're reflecting on this deep dive, it's worth asking yourself, what about the silences in your own life? What might they be holding? Is there some dissonance there that's maybe looking for harmony? And crucially, what voice inside you is just waiting for the chance to be really, truly heard? By you, and maybe by others too.
Those are big, important questions.
Yeah.
It seems like this album provides a lot to think about for anyone on that kind of path.
It really seems to. And if you want to experience the whole thing yourself, the album is The Silence Between, A Soul's Journey from Dissonance to Harmony, 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡 by TATANKA. Came out May 17th, 2025.
It sounds like something worth spending some real time with.
Definitely. And if you're curious about TATANKA's broader work, they have this whole music meets mission thing going on, looking at DEI, sustainable development goals, AI in art. It's pretty interesting stuff. Their website is the place to go for that.
It's always good to see art being used with that kind of intention, trying to spark change and foster connection.
It really is. Well, we hope this discussion gave you some things to chew on, maybe spark some insights for your own journey towards hearing yourself and finding your own harmony.
Until next time.